back, everybody, to week 7 here of the Sneaky Stacks video. We obviously know that the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tennessee Titans is going to be a high-scoring game, especially after what we saw King Henry do against the Bills on Monday Night Football. We know that there are going to be some other big games on the slate. We're going to be trying to look at some of the other games this week so that we're not just smashing Kyler Murray, putting him at our quarterback. Yes, we know that he's going to have a good game against the Houston Texans, but we are going to see some of the other areas that maybe we can get some leverage and maybe do a little bit better than we did last week. Last week we looked at 3 teams. They didn't necessarily do that good. That's kind of going to be what happens with the Sneaky Stacks, is sometimes you're going to hit and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Other times they're going to be pitiful and bad and tough, and last week we definitely saw a little bit more of the pitiful, sad, and tough. Unfortunately, with the Texans really not showing to be any good at all. Washington football team actually came in pretty high owned and hurt people. We're going to be looking into that a little bit more later in this video. And then also the Bears, I was hoping that they would be a little bit better. They did good if you did go ahead and do the Fields, Herbert, and Mooney. Allen Robinson, unfortunately, did not have the big breakout game that I was hoping he would have, that Jair Alexander was out. But regardless, let's get back into this week. One of the games that I really like this week is going to be between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Las Vegas Raiders. However, this side is going to be the Raiders, is who we're going to be looking at today, mostly because a lot of people are going to be leaning towards the Philadelphia side because there's a lot of value there. The wide receivers, Devontae Smith, just kind of tend to be a little bit more friendly than Ruggs, even though the points don't really show for Devontae Smith. But Ruggs is somebody who has been kind of hit or miss this year and has hurt a lot of people. But, I mean, obviously he has the bigger potential than a Devontae Smith. So we do like throwing Ruggs in there. We do also like being able to bring it back with probably one of the most popular plays of the week of Dallas Goedert, if he is available. As of right now, it shows that he does have the COVID-19 indication, but we do assume that he's going to be able to get that 2 negative tests before the game on Sunday. That being said, I mean, you could see a guy like Jack Stoll get in there now that Ertz is no longer going to be in the picture. So if we can do something along the lines of Derek Carr, Henry Ruggs, and then bring it back with Dallas Goedert, obviously that the Dallas Goedert part's not going to be very sneaky, but then getting Ruggs in there. But really, who I also like is Hunter Renfrow, who is been leading the league in receptions and targets as well. You're going to see a lot of volume out of him. He is staying in that low price range just because he isn't doing much with them, but sooner or later he's going to be able to turn that into more touchdowns. He's maybe even able to turn that into more yards. And so I think this is going to be a great game against the Eagles, whose defense hasn't shown to be able to be very good at all this year. So this is just a sneaky stack that I like kind of going front. And then also the second team that I like this week is the Atlanta Falcons going up against, we're going to clear this game really quick before we go into the next game, and we're going to look at the Atlanta Falcons against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have shown in the last 2 weeks they gave up a lot of yards to the Jaguars, and he also gave up a whole bunch of yards to the Buccaneers, which is kind of, that's not saying a whole lot. However, the Atlanta Falcons not playing this past week, they had a bye, so a lot of people couldn't forget about how good of a game Kyle Pitts did have the last time out. He had 30 points. It looks like he is now going to be one of the big focal points of this offense. And I think with Kyle Pitts becoming more and more of an option for this team, I think that opens up a lot of stuff for Calvin Ridley as well. And so one reason why I really do like this is, especially if we're going to have Byron Jones and Xavier Howard out for this game, as they were the last game back in London. And so we'll have to keep an eye out on the cornerback situation for the Dolphins. Obviously, as soon as Xavier Howard is in this game, we remove Calvin Ridley. Maybe we put a Cordell Patterson, who nobody wants to admit is good, but actually is doing really well this year. Maybe you get a Russell Gage in there if he's feeling healthy, or a Zacchaeus as well, and to get that stacked, because Matt Ryan does seem to be able to find a rhythm. They've been able to tweak the offense a little bit, get Kyle Pitts more involved, give him bigger targets. Even if you want to throw Hayden Hurst in there as well. It just seems to be more tight end heavy, which has been benefiting Matt Ryan really well and should do well against the Miami defense. And so finally, the last stack that we're going to be looking at is going to be the Washington football team, as they did hurt a lot of people last week. Heineke had a very poor performance, and he was pretty high owned. His price tag did drop down significantly to $5,200. In the Green Bay Packers, I mean, they gave up 14 points to the Bears, which isn't all that great, but it is something where you do have Jair Alexander still out, so maybe you do see a bounce back game from McLaurin, and maybe you see it at a spot where these guys are getting a couple $100s of discount to where they were before. So you get McLaurin, you get Ricky Seals-Jones, who did have a good game last week with Logan Thomas on the IR. He was one of the small bright spots. Maybe you even get a De'Ami Brown in there as well. And you know last week that I said I liked Adam Humphries. He didn't necessarily do it all too well at all, getting only 0.6 points last week. But again, moving back to a spot, one of the best things that you can do just psychologically in DFS is go after spots where people were hurt the previous week, and in a big way, because a lot of people were high on the Washington football team. There will probably be a little bit skewed amount of not going to be in on this game as much, or on this team, just because of kind of that reaction of, oh, this team hurt me last week, I don't want to experience that again. And so it is just another stack that could be good to leverage this week against a defense who is good, but they're not great. They definitely have times where they can give up a lot of yards. So those are the three stacks. I like the Raiders, the Falcons, and the Washington football team, probably in that order. Again, if you have any comments, I know last week somebody was talking about Kirktober and getting KJ Osborne in there, and that was turned out into be a big stack as they were able to connect for that touchdown in the overtime. So if you do have any comments, please feel free to put those below, and then we'll make sure to add those into the final slate that we do later this week. So thank you guys again for your time. Feel free to like and subscribe. We're trying to be getting more content out. We do have the NBA season. I don't know if we'll have videos for it, but we will at HandsDownDFS. We will have some prize picks stuff there going on. Maybe we get some lineups on DK as well, on the Twitter game as well. So make sure to follow us there as well. And so that is it for this one. And yeah, make sure you comment, subscribe, and like.